In a gripping and emotional courtroom moment, Jane Doe, using a pseudonym to protect her identity, delivered her full testimony against Sean "Diddy" Combs. She detailed years of alleged abuse, exposing a dark side behind the glitz and glamour of celebrity life. Her account reveals not only physical and emotional torment, but also the psychological control and manipulation she endured. The testimony has sent shockwaves through the legal community and the public, drawing intense media scrutiny and sparking widespread debate. As Jane bravely recounts her painful experiences, the trial shines a harsh light on issues of power, abuse, and accountability within the entertainment industry, marking a pivotal moment that could reshape conversations around celebrity misconduct forever. Setting the stage. Who is Jane Doe? In the midst of the high-profile trial against Sean "Diddy" Combs, one of the most pivotal figures is a woman known only as Jane Doe. This name serves as a protective shield, preserving her anonymity in a case that has gripped the public's attention due to its serious and deeply personal allegations. Jane Doe is not a stranger to the inner circles of the entertainment industry. She was once a close associate of Diddy, someone who trusted him implicitly and was drawn into his influential world. Yet, the relationship they shared took a dark and troubling turn, compelling Jane to step forward and expose the hidden abuses she alleges to have endured. Her testimony is considered by prosecutors to be a cornerstone of their case, offering a detailed window into a pattern of alleged abuse that extends beyond isolated incidents. Prosecutors argue that Jane's account reveals a sustained campaign of control and mistreatment that challenges the glamorous facade often associated with celebrity life. Meanwhile, the defense team has sought to undermine her credibility, framing her statements as unreliable or motivated by other interests. Despite these challenges, Jane Doe's testimony today was striking for its raw honesty and the unflinching detail with which she described her experiences. It was a moment of courage that shook the courtroom and left a profound impact on everyone present. The beginning. Early relationship and initial trust. Jane Doe began her account by recounting the early days of her relationship with Sean Combs, a period that, at first, appeared promising and filled with opportunity. She painted a picture of a dynamic interaction, one fueled by Diddy's magnetic charisma and his status as a powerhouse in the music and entertainment world. For Jane, the relationship was initially a source of hope and professional advancement. She admired his vision and was eager to align herself with someone who seemed to offer a gateway to success. However, this seemingly positive beginning soon revealed subtle cracks. Jane described how, beneath the surface, the atmosphere grew increasingly restrictive. The first signs of trouble were not overtly aggressive but manifested as quiet forms of control. She detailed moments when her opinions were dismissed or discouraged, when questions about Diddy's decisions were met with disapproval, and when an unspoken rule of obedience took root. This early pattern of manipulation, though not physically violent at first, laid the groundwork for a toxic relationship. It was a slow erosion of trust and autonomy that would set the stage for more damaging behavior in the future. The torture chamber, living under control. Arguably, the most harrowing portion of Jane Doe's testimony was her description of what she called the torture chamber, an environment crafted through psychological manipulation, intimidation, and constant control. Jane described the atmosphere surrounding her as suffocating, where fear was a tool used to enforce compliance and silence dissent. She spoke of relentless surveillance and emotional tactics designed to break down her sense of self. This included gaslighting, a form of psychological abuse where she was made to question her own perceptions and sanity. Jane also recounted how she was isolated from friends and family, severing vital sources of support and leaving her vulnerable to further abuse. The constant barrage of criticism served to chip away at her self-esteem, fostering a sense of dependency on Diddy that she found almost impossible to escape. As she spoke, the courtroom was struck by the depth of her vulnerability and the sheer weight of the emotional torment she endured. This torture chamber was not just a metaphor, but a lived reality, one where obedience was demanded through fear and freedom was a distant memory. Physical abuse. Allegations, shocking revelations. The emotional abuse Jane Doe described was compounded by allegations of physical violence, which she recounted with heartbreaking candor. She detailed multiple incidents where Diddy allegedly resorted to physical force to assert control and instill fear. According to Jane, these incidents included moments where she was grabbed forcefully, pushed against walls, and struck, sometimes in the presence of others, but more often behind closed doors where witnesses were absent. She explained that the physical pain was not the only consequence. The lasting psychological trauma has haunted her long after the physical wounds healed. These revelations are some of the most serious accusations in the case, carrying significant legal weight. If proven true, they not only deepen the gravity of the charges, but also paint a portrait of abuse that transcends emotional manipulation to include direct physical harm. Cassie's role and impact. Witness to the abuse. Jane Doe's testimony took an even more impactful turn when she introduced Cassie Ventura, the well-known singer and former partner of Sean Combs. Jane described Cassie not just as a peripheral figure, but as someone deeply affected by the abusive environment. According to Jane, Cassie was both a victim and an observer of some of the troubling behaviors exhibited by Diddy. Jane detailed how the two women's experiences were often parallel, sharing common struggles that few outside their circle could understand. She suggested that Cassie's long periods of public silence and withdrawal from the limelight might be connected to trauma she endured in private. This insight challenges the public's prior assumptions about Cassie's life and relationship, casting her in a new light as another individual deeply affected by the pressures and abuses within this high-profile relationship. This section of the testimony resonated widely, offering a glimpse into the complex dynamics that can exist in celebrity relationships, where appearances often mask painful realities. The aftermath. Psychological and emotional damage. Jane Doe did not hold back when discussing the profound psychological and emotional toll the alleged abuse has had on her life. Her testimony conveyed the long-lasting impact of sustained trauma, effects that extend far beyond the moments of abuse themselves. She described grappling daily with anxiety, persistent bouts of depression, and symptoms consistent with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. These conditions, she explained, have deeply affected her ability to live a normal, peaceful life. Court-appointed experts later affirmed the connection between Jane's experiences and the symptoms she described. Psychologists specializing in trauma confirmed that survivors of prolonged abuse often endure a range of complex mental health challenges, flashbacks, nightmares, emotional numbness, and hypervigilance among them. These experts testified that the psychological wounds inflicted by abuse can be as debilitating as physical injuries, requiring years of treatment and support to heal. Jane also spoke candidly about the courage it took to come forward. She acknowledged the personal and professional risks involved, from public scrutiny to potential backlash from powerful figures connected to the case. Despite this, she emphasized that her testimony was not solely about seeking justice for herself. It was also a plea on behalf of others who may still be suffering in silence, trapped by fear or shame, and unsure where to turn for help. Her words were a poignant reminder that abuse survivors often carry invisible scars that can persist long after the abuse has ended. The defense's counterattack, challenging credibility. As anticipated, the defense team mounted a vigorous campaign to discredit Jane Doe's testimony. They questioned her motives, scrutinized the timing of her allegations, and highlighted what they described as inconsistencies in her account. This strategy aimed to sow doubt in the minds of the jury and diminish the overall impact of her statements. Defense attorneys suggested that Jane might have been influenced or coerced by external parties with their own agendas. They implied that personal grievances, financial incentives, or desires for revenge could be driving her to fabricate or exaggerate her claims. Throughout their questioning, they pressed Jane on minor details, attempting to portray her narrative as unreliable and contradictory. Despite the intense pressure, Jane remained composed. She confronted difficult questions with honesty and courage, refusing to be shaken by the defense's attempts to undermine her credibility. While she admitted to the emotional toll of recounting her trauma, she stood firm in her conviction that the truth needed to be heard. Her steadfastness in the face of relentless scrutiny underscored the strength it takes for survivors to relive painful memories in a public forum. Expert testimonies support Jane's claims. To bolster Jane Doe's account, the prosecution called upon several psychologists and trauma specialists who provided critical insights into the nature of abuse and its effects on survivors. These experts explained that the behaviors Jane described aligned with well-documented patterns seen in victims of sustained emotional and physical abuse. One of the key points experts highlighted was the complexity of trauma responses. They explained that survivors often experience memory gaps, dissociation, and conflicting emotions as coping mechanisms, which can sometimes appear as inconsistencies in their stories. This helped contextualize some of the defense's challenges and offered the jury a deeper understanding of why trauma survivors may present their experiences in ways that do not fit a straightforward narrative. The specialists also discussed the lasting psychological damage caused by prolonged abuse, emphasizing that recovery is often nonlinear and fraught with setbacks. Their testimony reinforced the credibility of Jane's claims by grounding them in scientific research and clinical experience. It gave the jury tools to evaluate the testimony with greater empathy and awareness of trauma's complexities. Public and media reactions. A trial under the microscope. Jane Doe's testimony quickly became a focal point of media coverage and public discourse. News outlets across the country reported extensively on her statements, while social media platforms exploded with reactions ranging from shock to support. Among the public, opinions were sharply divided. Many expressed profound sympathy for Jane, applauding her bravery in confronting a figure as influential as Diddy. Advocates for abuse survivors hailed her as a beacon of hope for others struggling in silence, while others called for a thorough investigation to ensure justice was served. Conversely, some fans and supporters of Diddy voiced skepticism, questioning the veracity of the allegations and urging caution before rushing to judgment. This division underscored the broader challenges faced by survivors of abuse who come forward, where public opinion can be as much an obstacle as the legal process itself. The trial has sparked broader conversations about power dynamics in the entertainment industry, shining a spotlight on how celebrity status can complicate efforts to hold abusers accountable. It has become a symbol of the ongoing struggle many victims face when seeking justice in environments where fame and influence often shield perpetrators. The broader impact, changing conversations about abuse and power. Beyond the immediate legal proceedings, Jane Doe's testimony carries significant implications for societal attitudes toward abuse and power, particularly within the celebrity world. Her detailed revelations challenge the myth of untouchable celebrities and expose the vulnerabilities that exist even among the most privileged. By sharing her story, Jane has helped to dismantle the facade of glamour and invincibility that often surrounds high-profile figures. She has reminded the public that abuse transcends status and wealth, affecting people from all walks of life, including those living under the intense scrutiny of fame. Advocates and experts hope that this case will encourage more survivors to come forward. Emboldened by Jane's courage and the increasing visibility of such issues, they argue that public awareness and accountability are crucial steps toward creating safer environments in all industries, not just entertainment. Moreover, there is growing pressure on the entertainment industry to implement stronger protections, clearer policies, and better support systems for individuals who may be vulnerable to exploitation or abuse. Jane Doe's testimony has become a rallying point for this movement, underscoring the urgent need for cultural and structural change. A turning point in the fight against abuse. Jane Doe's testimony in the trial against Sean "Diddy" Combs represents a profound turning point in the ongoing battle against abuse and exploitation. More than just a personal account of trauma, her courage in coming forward has ignited vital conversations about the often hidden realities of power dynamics, control, and accountability within the entertainment industry and beyond. Her detailed and heartfelt narrative resonates deeply with survivors everywhere, offering a powerful symbol of hope and resilience. It underscores the importance of believing victims and creating safe spaces where their voices can be heard without fear of retribution or disbelief. While the legal proceedings continue, the impact of Jane's testimony extends far beyond the courtroom walls. It challenges society to confront uncomfortable truths and work collectively to dismantle systems that enable abuse. This case serves as a sobering reminder that fame and fortune do not shield individuals from harm, and that those in positions of power must be held accountable. Ultimately, Jane Doe's bravery is a call to action. It urges communities, industries, and individuals alike to listen more attentively, support survivors, and commit to meaningful change.